Hello everyone, Jak Syn here on behalf of TourFiend.com and Future Daze, and today it's another exciting episode of Artist Interviews. Today we're sitting with Chaz Contreras of Synthcity Portland. How you doing today?
I'm doing really well, man. Doing really well. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a nice sunny day outside. The weather's nice. I don't have to go to work today, which is really, really good. I'm off today and tomorrow, so I'm happy about that, because it's kind of crazy, going into work right now, with everything happening. If it's not the pandemic that we're, currently, gripping right now in the world, it's the tension and unease with, a lot of the stuff happening out on the streets. But the positive message is outweighing all of the other crap going on, and that's what's important.
I want to agree 100%, man, for sure.
So today, we're going to ask you a couple of questions and see where it goes from here. Are you ready to get into it?
Let's do it. Let's get it.
What are three of your favorite memories from the Synthcity events?
I would have to say the first one, definitely the first show we did under Synthcity when we just started. We had Lucy in Disguise headline that, and we had Starfare drive out from San Jose, and Michael Weber, and then myself opening the show. I think that was the second time, performing, but having someone like Lucy in Disguise, who, mind you, like the whole reason we started Synthcity was to host artists that we love. Selfishly, like the main reason behind it was I wanted to see these Synthwave Acts perform because they were skipping Portland. And I found out pretty quickly that Lucy in Disguise had lived in Salem, which is 45-minute drive from Portland. So we got in touch with him, and we had that first show, and it was at the Bit House Saloon, which is actually where you and Street Cleaner and Cogex and stuff performed. And we had our first show there. I was a nervous wreck because I had, it was our first gig and it was filled up, man. It was almost sold out. And that whole experience, like, even though I was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, I was also enjoying the moments and seeing all the fans there, super stoked on it. It couldn't have gone better. And that was just a really rad experience in its entirety, for sure. And I'll never forget that one, having Starfare come out. Miguel, I don't know if you've met him, but he's just the nicest dude. I had been talking with Michael Weber for maybe a year prior to that, so having him be able to join us was pretty cool. So I think that one was definitely really special. I'll never forget that one. And then the second one is probably the Let 'Em Riot show we had at the Lovecraft Bar, which those are our people. The owner of the Lovecraft she's a really rad chick, and working with Victor Novo, I know you know Victor, and Jared, they always take care of us. They are one of those people like us that just love the scene in and out, and do whatever they can to help support artists. So being able to collaborate with them and work with them on that show, and flying Alan out, Let 'Em Riot, along with the McCready guys, and having Night Rider 87 open up that show. That show was our first show we sold out completely. So that was really rad, and it was really cool just to see the whole area packed. Everyone's dancing. My mom was there, and she loved it, which was super cool to see. It was a special night for everyone involved, and then I think the last one's just got to be Neon Rose Fest. That whole experience was amazing. And it was a lot of work. I'm sure you guys, you doing Future Daze, but also working with the Nightwave crew. You guys do really, massive shows, and all the work that goes onto it. It's a lot, especially when it's such a large scale show where you have multiple hundreds of people going there. It was a lot of work, but it was completely worth it, man. again, being surrounded by like-minded artists, by homies, developing those relationships beforehand, and then being able to all come together. We had like 14 different artists, you know, System 96 from Atlanta, Watch Out for Snakes, Makeup and Vanity Set, Betamax, Tokyo Rose, and then our homies, you know, Dream Reaper, Michael Weber, being all together in Airbnb and everyone hanging out. And I got to DJ at the house for a little bit. Like, just that whole weekend experience was, it was unforgettable, and it made me, it was a cap to end the year, and it made me and all the partners at the time that worked together, like Troy and my good friend Brian, you know, we put a lot of work into it, and to see it pay off in that capacity was, it warmed my heart. It really felt right, you know. So yeah, those are definitely my most you know, accomplished, memorable experiences with Synthcity so far.
And those are some very memorable moments. I mean, I know when we came out there, you know, when we came out there with Street Cleaner, you know, Protector 101 and Cogex, like, we had such a great time. You guys really rolled out the red carpet for us. You know, the Bit House Saloon was such an amazing, you know, venue to play at. You guys really were like top notch. You know, you guys, I mean, you went above and beyond, you know what I mean, with us. And, you know, I don't know if I've said this before, you know, but I'm saying it again now if I haven't, but, you know, I really appreciated everything that you guys did for us. And, you know, I'm looking forward to coming back out there again very soon and doing it again. And you're right. You know, it's like when you do these events, there are a lot of work. You know, when you're dealing with multiple artists, you're dealing with the venue, you're dealing with, you know, the door, you know, you're dealing with the fans, you know, security, whatever you have to do, like all the things that go into creating an event, like it's a lot. It's a big process. But you know what? That's the fun part. The work is the fun part. And I know it's kind of weird to say. People kind of go, well, how is work fun? No, the journey that you're on when you're doing all of this stuff, it's like the go aspect of the night, like handling every little thing here and there, making sure the guys in the merch booth are taken care of, making sure the artists are taken care of, making sure the fans are having a good time, you know, making sure the DJs are keeping the party going, keeping everything moving. It's like all of this stuff, it's fun. It really is fun. You know, and even though there's a lot of pressure behind it, it's fun because you have your hands in all of it, you know, and you're making sure that everybody is having the best time they can have in the atmosphere that they're in. And yeah, you know, like with our events that we do out here, you know, with the Nightwave events and the Future Daze events, it's like, yes, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of things happening all at once. But I find it really, really fun. I find it fun because, you know, I'm working with other people too. It's like I'm working with a team of people who are all like-minded. You know what I mean? We want to bring, you know, this style of music to the public in whatever way we need to. And at the end of the night, when we're able to kind of breathe and just let it all sink in, kind of go, good job, everybody. Let's get started on the next one.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I relate to that 100%. I feel lucky to be able to spend most of my time this is what I do most of my days, you know, amongst other things through Synthcity, but I get to do this. I enjoy the work, you know, 90% of the time, dude, I'm absolutely in love with what I'm doing. And although I might be running around, you know, like you said, making sure everything's going smoothly, running smoothly, everyone's got what they need, everyone's in a good place, but, you know, like I do enjoy that process, and there's something special about that, man. And compared to, you know, I've worked plenty of different jobs. I was a manager, you know, at a marketplace, and it was different. I don't have to put on a front while I'm doing this like I did when I was working in the restaurant industry or something. I get to be myself, and I get to be around like-minded people. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
How did Synthcity begin, and what's the journey been like?
So I got into the synthwave scene, like really got into it, started talking with people maybe about 3 years ago. And then it was September of 2018 where I had just recently moved back to Portland. I was in Eugene prior, prior to that, going to college, and I moved back, and you know, I was hardcore into the scene. You know how it is when you first kind of get into the scene, really into the scene, and you're just like head over heels about it. That's how I was. So I was, and I'm the kind of guy, I like to go to shows at least once a month, like whatever kind of music it is. I like to go to shows. So I kept looking up like when synthwave artists would be playing in Portland, and I could find, you know, very few. Some of the bigger scale ones, like maybe Magic Sword, you know, Dance with the Dead, they'd be playing in Portland. But the one that really irked me was the Wave Shaper show with Absolute Valentine and Facehugger. I think there was somebody else on that, but they went from Seattle to, I think, San Francisco. So they skipped Portland, and I was like, why? Like, I didn't understand why. So what I did was I went ahead, there was a Facebook group that already existed called, you know, based out of Portland, called Synthwave Portland. So I reached out to the 200 people that were on that platform, and I said, hey guys, like, you know, you guys are all synthwave fans, like let's meet up at Ground Control, which is our local barcade, and try to figure out how we can get these synthwave acts to stop in Portland. And I think there was probably, starting off, 15 people showed up, which was amazing. And we started discussing it. I had all these cool ideas, you know. We didn't have Synthcity as a name yet, and we just were a bunch of fans that came together and started discussing how we could do that. Obviously, money is a big factor of that. So once the financial side came in, probably we lost more than half of the people. Kind of were like, oh, you know, like once money's involved, it gets a little tricky for people. So which, you know, by all means, like that was totally acceptable. So there was only like 6 of us after that. And then we decided, you know, we came up with the name, and I had my buddy Brian, who was a you know, an official business partner. He no longer, we went separate ways. He's still one of my best friends, and whatnot. So we still got a good relationship. But anyway, so we did that, and we started putting together how we could get these artists out. And financially, you know, I was just like, I'm willing to, I was working a really good job. I was willing to back things. And 2 months later, we had our first gig with the Lucy in Disguise show. And it kind of just took off from there. And then, you know, I wanted to do one every month. So I was just communicating with artists and really made it an official LLC, you know, business. We got a business license, and kind of just took off from there. And then we learned all the other, you know, aspects that go into it along the way.
Well, see, that's usually how it starts out. It's like when you have a need, you know what I mean? And you have you know, it's like, you know, start as an idea, you kind of go like, well, why isn't this happening? And then all of a sudden you see there's a community for it, and you kind of go, you reach out and you ask them like, hey, how can we make this happen? You explore the collective thoughts and feelings of different people, and then you bring those ideas in, and before you know it, you're rolling, you know, and now here you are with this. You know, it's like, I think that's great that you did that. You reached out to these people and you were like, hey, how can we make this happen? And then the rest is history.
Yeah, man. It was definitely a really fun experience from the beginning.
What was the inspiration behind building Synthcity?
Really being able to provide a platform for local artists, you know, for sure in Portland to spread their music and share their music, and kind of build from that. But being able to provide that platform for traveling artists as well from all over the world, you know, and that was kind of the inspiration, being able to do that and be a part of that. And yeah, I think that was the biggest thing. And being, you know, also for myself, creating a dream job, like where I get to be around the music I love all the time, and learn more in that field, and just being able to wake up and do what and be happy with, you know, what I do on the daily, was huge for me. So, I mean, a little selfish on my part, but really that, and just being able to provide that platform, because there's so many talented artists out there. You know, some of them, of course, they get the recognition they deserve, but there's a lot of artists out there that I think are spectacular, and they just don't have the right outlet or the right connections, I guess. So being able to be a part of that and provide that for other artists was definitely the inspiration behind Synthcity.
That really is great, because you know what, you guys are putting Portland on the map. You really are. Because now I hear from other people all around the world. You know, I was speaking to Outland in a previous interview, and they were mentioning Synthcity. You know what I mean? So it's like you have people internationally who now know about Synthcity, and putting Portland in the map is so very important, because now you get that interconnectivity up and down the coast. You know what I mean? That's what's important. So thank you guys for all the hard work that you guys are putting into doing Synthcity and bringing these artists to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Speaking of the Outland guys, you know, that's the other thing I'll say real quick, is being able to develop those types of relationships with other promoters and other record labels has been really cool too. Stu specifically too, man. He's been nothing but great to work with. And then you guys, you know, Future Daze. I haven't really communicated too much with the Nightwave crew out in New York, but they're all around. We're a big family, and I know we're all there, and eventually, you know, things will happen. And I'm stoked that like you guys are doing what you do down in LA. And then they do, you know, they're doing what they're doing in New York. And yeah, man, I mean, that actually helped inspired a lot of what Synthcity's doing too. You guys definitely paved the way for us, you know.
And that's what's important, you know what I mean? And I appreciate that. Thank you for those kind words. I mean, and that's what's important. It's like people who want to build something, building it. You know what I mean? I like to say, dream it, build it, and let it grow, because that's how you create success. You know what I mean? That's how you create success. You make your dreams a reality, because you have that drive to make what you want a reality. So thank you for that.
Yeah, man. Of course. Thank you.
What lessons have you learned with your endeavors from Synthcity?
A lot. Definitely learned a lot of, you know, some of them life-changing lessons, you know what I mean? I think the biggest thing is, this is so cliche and cheesy to say, but one of the biggest ones is if you put enough work in and you believe in what you're doing, like full-heartedly, you can get it done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had no background in running shows, you know, writing contracts, like all the business side of it. I had no idea what I was doing when I first started, and I definitely learned how to correctly go about doing all of that. And so that was a huge like life lesson in general, because even if this eventually fades, those business aspects of it, you know, will carry on into whatever future endeavors I do. And you know, being able to discipline to like being able to know and set everything up for the shows, whether it's a release for an artist, we're doing cassettes or whatever, you know, those different parts of what we do, like learning, basically teaching myself, or, you know, how to do that, and working with others on how to do that. And you know, staying humble through the whole process, and staying true and being honest about everything, the people we work with. And I think another biggest lesson that I learned too is, which is a life lesson as well, but expectations for others, keep that to a minimum, you know. And for myself, that's something I had to learn. Like, it's really, when you're as passionate and work as hard as, you know, we do for what we do, expecting other people to be on that same level and page is a rarity. So when you do find it, you know, when I have found it, it's definitely something I appreciate. But like, really, you know, keep the expectations, you know, pretty on yourself. You know, there's a saying that I tell myself often, and it's expectations on others that, you know, create future resentments. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way, and has nothing to do with anyone else but myself. Those are definitely some lessons I've learned through.
And you know what? Really, It's like these lessons that you learn from doing what you're doing, you will continue to utilize these things on any other endeavors in your life. You can't buy that stuff. You can't buy those life lessons, and working with, keeping those expectations, I guess, grounded in reality really helps you from floating away into the atmosphere. I know sometimes, Evie tries to say, it's funny because Evie will say this thing about me sometimes. She'll go, I'm the balloon. Jackson's the balloon, right? And she's holding on to the balloon just a little bit because sometimes I will float off into the atmosphere. And I do need somebody to anchor me and ground me just a little bit to say, hey, wait a minute. We have to think about this, this, and this. And I go, oh, I didn't think about that. You know what I mean? Because I want to create, I want to run rampant and just try to make sure everybody has a great time. But sometimes when I get into creating a lot of the things that I create, I kind of go, I didn't even think about those things. I didn't even think about this. So it's all a learning experience, and it's great to see that you're applying these lessons that you've learned to all aspects of your life.
Yeah, man.
What's next for Synthcity in the future?
It's a pretty loaded question. I'd say, we're always working on a ton of things, and we're actually working on a few different projects right now. Obviously, we've had to, I'm sure, you can relate to this. Doing these interviews is something super rad, and it will occupy your time and keep you involved in the community and stuff, because we're not able to host shows right now, right? Everything's shut down. And it's been really hard to adapt to that, but what we have, and I'm really now, it actually was a blessing in disguise for us. We're still planning Neon Rose Fest 2020. That's like one of the big projects we're doing, which is going to feature like double the amount of artists, and it'll be 4 days instead of 3 days. 2 days in Seattle, 2 days in Portland. Our dates for that, we haven't officially announced. Well, we originally were planning September 17th through the 20th, and we pushed it back to November, which will be our 2-year anniversary as a company anyway. And it's looking like it's going to be November 12th through the 15th. Thursday, Friday in Seattle, and then Saturday, Sunday in Portland. And we'll be working with multiple venues, partners. We got some really, larger scale acts we're going to bring this year from all over the world, and still putting together the lineup and communicating with artists for that. But that's one of the big ones. And then I haven't announced this at all, but we're starting this very special, I guess, internet TV show is what we're calling it, called Synthcity Strains. And I could talk to you about this for like an hour, but I'll keep it tight and just kind of tease it a little bit. But essentially, it's going to be somewhat of what you've seen already as far as like live streaming, except our format's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be every Thursday. Our first showcasing will be June 25th of this month. But every Thursday we're going to do a live streaming of the episode, and we'll have a different live performer we'll be hosting. So the way it's going to work is we're going to have a DJ from 8:10 to 9 o'clock essentially, with commercial breaks in between, and then we're gonna have a live performer perform for 45 minutes. And every Thursday will be a different theme, which is gonna be really fun. And we are selling live tickets to that very minimum amount until things open up more. So there will be the hardcore fans be able to show up, because it's gonna be a really exclusive membership type thing only. So that'll be live via Twitch streaming, but also it's going to have this other aspect to it. We're going to do interviews with artists that are going to be performing that week, but really get funky and have fun with those. And amongst other things, like this studio we're working with, we have full capabilities to do just weird, crazy, cool stuff. The amount of equipment and knowledge they have. We're going to be making like cheesy 80s commercials, and I'm just really excited about that part. And it's going to give us that platform to stay involved with the community, because it's something that we haven't been able to do besides social media. And that's a huge thing we're going to be gonna be doing. I think it's gonna blow people away. I have a lot of high hopes surrounding that, and I'm really excited to be doing us be doing that as a company. And then the last thing is just doing more work for Synthcity Records, which is like a subdomain of Synthcity, just working with more artists, doing cassettes and CDs and eventually vinyl. We just released the Droid Bishop, his last album, Rebirth of the Machine, on cassette. There's only 3 left. We just dropped that on Friday, and helping more artists out, working with more local artists, and being able to provide that type of merchandise for artists and fans.
That sounds amazing. I cannot wait to see all of this wonderful stuff you guys have coming very soon. I mean, a TV channel, I mean, that's going to be amazing. I'm excited to see all of that hard work that you guys are going to be pouring into that. And I know I'll be there, with a lot of other people, I'm sure, getting ready to take that all in. So thank you so much for sharing all that information with us. Thank you everybody out there who tuned in today to watch us have this interview. Thank you to you, Chaz. I look forward to all the amazing things coming soon from Synthcity. And you know what? Everybody out there, dream it, build it, let it grow, and keep pushing, because that's how we stay successful and that's how we stay working. I love you guys. Thank you so much. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our tourfiend.com YouTube channel, as we have many more awesome artist interviews on the way.
All right, brother. Thanks for having me, man. We'll be catching up.